Chattisfying.
Let's jump straight into it, shall we? So let's talk a little bit about you, Sarge. So introduce yourself to our veritable viewers.
Alrighty. So I am Commander Sergeant. A lot of you know me as Sarge. For the most part, I am just a Zelda variety streamer, but if you ask Mellar, it's just a Zelda streamer. Pretty much the amount of franchises that I'm into is pretty vast. Aside from what I stream, I'm pretty much down to play just about anything. I'll try just about any kind of genre game out there. There's really nothing that stands out as something that like, oh no, definitely wouldn't do that. But you know, my other interests, I like to play guitar. I'm a metalhead. Got a handful of bands, and by handful I mean several. A long list of games that, or of bands that I'm really into as well. So there's just a lot of interests from me.
Amazing. So what you've been streaming at the moment?
We're currently working on Legend of Zelda Phantom Hourglass for the DS. We're playing that through an emulator at present. We are doing a full Zelda franchise playthrough, excluding the Game Boy Advance version of Four Swords, only because I was unable to get that to work in any way, shape, or form. But that, and we're also excluding the CDI games because we don't talk about those.
They don't exist. They're not part of
They
the
don't
franchise.
exist.
Why don't they exist?
They're not canon.
Okay.
No, but it's
terrible.
full series based off of their original release order, and filling in for some of the games using the HD versions where they're applicable and if I prefer them. So, but yeah, we've seen our way all the way from 1987's or 1986 Zelda, the original for the NES, and made our way all the way to 2007 Phantom Hourglass, 2006, 2007, somewhere around there. So yeah, we're making some pretty strong headway on that front.
How many Zelda games are there in the
Too many.
like in your your selection to go through? How many have you got to go, and how many are you through so far?
I want to say that there's a total of 17 of them. And let's see, the ones we still need to do: Phantom Hourglass, Spirit Tracks, Skyward Sword, A Link to the Past, or sorry, excuse me, no, that's not right. The sequel to A Link to the Past, A Link Between Worlds. Okay. Triforce Heroes will be my first time through that one. I have never played that one before, so I'll be doing that one for my very first time on stream. And then after that one is Breath of the Wild, and I might even throw in Age of Calamity when we're done. I'm also into randomizers, ROM hacks, pretty much anything Zelda related. I'm all game for. So
obviously you're playing a lot of Zelda. That's the main thing. That's what you're going to do. Like you're playing through all the Zelda games. So would you personally say that Zelda is your favorite game to stream, or would you say like what is your favorite game to stream?
I would definitely say that streaming Zelda is a happy place for me, generally, unless it's Nimpais, as Moon and Mellar will recall, and Metal King, who happens to be with us. Yeah, anybody that was there for Nimpais remembers that it was kind of a dark age for me. I had played one ROM hack before that and thought, the world of ROM hacks might be a door we need to open. Watched Moon play Nimpais for a couple of streams, watched her get super frustrated with it, and then I said, you know what, I'm going to take that challenge. I'm going to do it. I should not have done that. And then I got
firmly shut on that one.
It got to a point that I honestly got to a point where I felt, you know what, I'm not about to be duped over in my favorite game, because at its core it is based off of Ocarina of Time, right?
Okay.
So Ocarina of Time is my number one game of all time, hands down. There's no contests for anything else in the world. Ocarina of Time is my number one. And so when provided this opportunity to play Nimpai's Adventure, I was not about to back down from that, especially when, I felt like I was going to get defeated by it. I said, you know what? I don't even care if I'm not having fun anymore. I'm not going to be beaten by this. We're going to get through it just to prove a point.
No, I get you. Like, especially when it's like a game series you love so much. You don't want to be like, you know what? I'm not gonna let this beat me. I want to sit down. I want to do this. I want to succeed. I want to have a good time. That's the most important part.
Right. Yeah, and for the most part, I usually steer more towards playing things that I actually enjoy.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's been only maybe 2 occasions that I've played something that I just downright did not enjoy at all,
Okay.
and Nimpies was one of them.
It's
Yeah.
funny.
But
It's funny you mentioned that because I was obviously talking about your favorite game to stream, right?
Mhm.
So like obviously you've played a good amount of games on stream. You know what you enjoy, but you obviously there's a couple occasions where you didn't enjoy yourself or you didn't like the game. So in your opinion, what's your your least favorite game that you might have played on stream or just in general, like a game you thought oh yeah, I'll love this game. I'm really interested. You could play it. And you're like, you know what, this isn't for me, sort of thing.
Um, that would be Psychonauts for me. Our dear
Okay.
friend Power 46. I don't know if he's with us at the moment, but he was generous enough to buy this game for me while it was on a really great sale on Steam. I didn't know how I would feel about it. I didn't really know anything about it aside from the fact that some people that I talked to really hyped it up, said it was going to be wonderful. Got me all excited about the Tim Burton aspect for it. I
It's got a great
wasn't
art
sure
style.
between, and it is actually very nice in the way that it's set
Hmm.
up. I actually did enjoy the way that it was made mechanically speaking. Um, but my experience with it, I threw it on my Discord server as a possibility for people to vote on and help me decide what game to play next as part of my variety
Very,
title.
very, very good way to do it.
And so, I put it up there. And so, even though it wasn't something that I was particularly interested in, my community was the one that had put that forth and
No,
said, okay,
exactly.
well,
Yeah.
and so it won the vote. It won the vote. And I said, okay, if it won the vote, we'll go ahead and pick it up here. We'll turn it on, see where we go with this. And I went in with as much of an open mind as I could, just thinking, this is okay, this is all right. But I honestly felt like a lot of the time the humor just did not stick with me. And on top of that, nobody came to watch.
That
So I
doesn't help.
had probably the lowest viewer count at that point. And I mean, yeah, you're not supposed to stream for your viewers necessarily, but it helps when you have someone to talk to, especially if you feel like there's a lull in a game that you're not really sure how you feel about. If there's nobody to really talk to about it at that point in time, I was just like, you know what? I just can't say I'm having any fun with this. I'm just
Yeah,
not.
exactly. I think it definitely feels going off that sort of thing. It definitely feels like if you're not having a good time with the game, and it's like you turn the chat to sort of talk, oh, how do you feel about this? And there's just no one there. It's kind of like, okay, so I can't talk to anyone there. So it's sort of like you sort of get into a little bit of a lull sort of state, kind of like, oh,
Yeah.
what do I do, sort of thing.
Yeah.
You kind of have that question of why am I doing this?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've talked about before the sort of the merits of playing a game that you don't really enjoy because chat wants you to play it, and the sort of consensus generally is that you shouldn't, because if the streamer isn't enjoying the game, then it's probably not going to be a very compelling stream, which may be part of the reason why people don't necessarily come to those kind of games, and it can be a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy as well, because if you're not enjoying it, people leave, and then the numbers go down. That makes it
Hmm.
worse,
A
and
lot
then
of
you're sitting there
Definitely.
people.
like, what am I doing with my life?
Exactly. It's
You
one of
know?
those things. I think it's also like being a streamer and also being a viewer before that, and it's still a viewer, to this day, sort of thing.
Of course.
I love going on people's streams and sort of just hanging out, and it's one of those things where I think if someone is not enjoying the game, people can click on to that
You
very, very
can
quickly.
really
It's like,
tell.
okay, it's like it's very, very obvious. Like, what's what you not
Yeah.
enjoying the game, like what's going on, sort of thing. And even like sometimes it can direct people, like, oh, I don't want to be here. Here's this person not enjoying the game, sort of thing. I'm just gonna sort of go away. And that does happen. But I think it's one of those things where playing games you enjoy is definitely the best route to go through. I absolutely understand it as well. It's when it's a game that's a gift. Like obviously it was your friend who gifted it to you. You kind of want to play it because they were kind enough to give it to me, sort of thing.
Mm,
Exactly. Yeah.
So you sort of feel bad if you don't know how to play this. Oh, I feel bad, sort of thing.
mm.
And there's definitely been like from personal experience, I definitely know what that's like. Where it's the case like you play a game and it's like, why did this person give this to me? I don't like
Yeah.
this.
And so, and since I've been in that one, you know, I've met other people who either they love it or they've hated it, you know, and I have a hard time finding really an in between for it because, you know, I know Mellar's feelings on it is that it was actually a very phenomenal game. He really enjoyed it.
I wouldn't
Made a
say it
And,
was
second
you know,
one.
amazing. I did really enjoy it. I thought it was very funny. But
They made a second one, didn't they?
yeah, I do
yeah,
want to
they
play
made a
that.
second one. But,
Yeah.
you know, and I have a coworker who he actually follows a lot of my advice with games. I talked him into getting Elden Ring, and we both had a really great time with that.
Amazing.
But you know, when we got on the subject about Psychonauts, he said that he had actually played it as part of a project that was assigned to him from one of his professors. Something about
What a
I don't even
fantastic,
remember what.
Shit, I
fantastic
Yeah,
forgot
I don't
about
even
that
project.
remember what the
professor.
context for it was. I don't remember what the context behind it was. I'd have to re-ask him for that one. But basically, it was one of those things that he started up, and you know, he got a little ways into it, and he's just like, "This is just kind of ridiculous." I think he
Hmm.
actually did finish it. Now that I think about it, but I don't know exactly, you know, all the details. But he said that, you know, he felt that it was pretty ridiculous, and you know, overall wasn't quite as an enjoyable experience as other games he'd played.
No, I get you. I
So,
mean, and it's one of those things where it's like it's not such an it's not an old game, but it is got its age stuff. I think that having played it not as obviously when it came out sort of thing, but playing it like years afterwards, do you think that really affected it, or do you think it was the case of like it was this wasn't for you sort of thing?
yeah, what it boiled down to was, you know, probably part of what we were saying, you know, is the fact that there was the lack of chat to keep me kind of entertained when it hit some dry spots.
Hmm.
For me, the humor just didn't stick with me. A lot of people are really think that the humor in that is wonderful, but you know the humor in it just did not stick for me. And if that was supposed to be a selling point, it just didn't. What I can say about the game that I did enjoy though is that it was solid. Like it
Hmm.
felt like it didn't feel like a game that was just half-assed. You know, and the developers actually take some time to consider how things should work and made sure that the mini games or whatever the tasks that they make you perform really do work. So you know it makes sense when you play it, but overall as a game in its concept, it just didn't do it for
Didn't do
me.
it for me. No, I get it.
Do you think maybe it might have been ruined for you because it was hyped up so much? I know that sometimes happens where it's hyped up so much that it's just disappointing no matter what. Do you think
There's a
maybe if it
few
hadn't have
games
been
like that.
hyped up quite so much, you might have enjoyed it a bit more?
That's entirely possible. You
Yeah.
know, that is definitely a possibility that with the overhype, I might have gone in with much higher expectations for it.
Hmm.
So when it didn't meet those expectations, perhaps maybe that's entirely possible.
That's a shame. That
I
is a
totally get
shame.
that. The most of my Psychonauts knowledge is there's an Easter egg in Alice Matters Returns where you see it, and
I
that's
mean,
it. It's like, okay, cool.
if I'm
You know,
brutally honest, I have actually reviewed it. It's on my YouTube if you
have
want to
you?
watch it.
Oh, just a shill. Don't worry. Oh, by the way, I've actually
Just a
I've
cheeky little
actually,
plug there.
you're gonna
Yeah.
for everyone watching it in post, to be a little eye in the description, just right over there. You can
Link
just
in the
click on that.
description below.
So going on from obviously it's a game that you didn't like sort of thing. Is there like personally for you, obviously, is there any games you enjoyed yourself but like your community just didn't like, or like maybe the opposite way around where like you hated it but your community
I
loved it?
I noticed that about my randomizers actually. I do enjoy playing randomizers. I even enjoy streaming them, but they don't turn out, you know, for much in viewer counts, you know. People aren't flooding into my chat to communicate with me while I'm playing this, you know. But you know what? It doesn't matter. I'm having a good time. So,
I
you know.
think with
That's the most important part.
the randomizers, I think we've talked about this before. Is that the problem with randomizers is that the sort of knowledge base going in is absolutely huge because you need to
Exactly.
know a lot about the base game and then some. So you do like, sort of your regular viewers are probably like quite a few of them, unless they literally followed you for that, are going to be people that sort of look at randomizers and they have no idea what the fuck is going on. And that I think that is a bit of an issue, and I think that's one of the reasons why quite a few people that only do randomizers occasionally they get a dip in
Hmm.
viewership when they do randomizers. Whereas I think normally sort of the people that I see do randomizers always do randomizers. They all, like there's the randomizer crowd that follow like all the randomizers around. But obviously you have to get into that community. So if you're not,
Right.
you know
I
what I
think
mean?
it's the same way with speedrunners as well, because
Mm,
you've got to have a really good base knowledge of the main game, like you said.
yeah.
And
Mhm.
if you're going to like just chill and have a good time with the streamer, it's like and the streamer, obviously with streamers, they're a lot more focused on the game. And so I imagine with randomizers, you got to be a lot more focused on like, I haven't got this item at this certain point in the time. I've got this, and it's not, it's not really going to match up. I like, figure out what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
That sometimes you
Right.
do have to be a bit more focused on the game, and it's like,
as a streamer, it's so hard to try and explain it as well. I find like because you do get like newbie friendly streamers. I think that Mrs. Freeze, who we had on the show before, is like quite newbie friendly. She just try and explain things, but at the end of the day, like if you really don't know what you're looking at, she's not going to explain it every single time.
no,
It's
exactly.
you're on a bit of a highway to nothing really, especially if you're not really that into the game.
You can't really sit down, like you said, going off what Mellar says, like you can't really sit down and like, oh, new person in chat. So today we're doing this, and in order to do this, 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 and this, and this, the randomizers are this, and then it's the new person. Oh, by the way, this is what we're doing. It's a constant cycle. You can't keep doing the same thing over and over again with that.
Right.
You have to like sort of. It's like I think randomizers is fun. Don't get me wrong. And I think that it's one of those things where I think when you have to have like people who come in definitely will have a bigger knowledge of the game going into it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So have you played any games for the first time on stream?
First time games.
Yeah.
I did Doom 2016 for the first time on stream.
Right.
I've got a list of things I think that I'm trying to remember which ones that I did do on stream. My early days, I was streaming directly off of the PlayStation 4.
Oh dear.
That's a very common way to get into streaming, though. I think like streaming off the console itself. I think a lot of people are doing that.
My friend that got me into the idea of streaming, she streams primarily horror games, and so she was doing some of the newer Resident Evil games. She'd started with 3 and worked her way through the franchise in kind of some mixed up order. And I wanted to try out Resident Evil for myself. I had played through 5 with my younger brother, and I decided, I'm going to try my hand at Resident Evil 1. And it just was so convenient because, the PlayStation 4 just has that option that says share, and you can, just sign in with Twitch and away you go. Yeah. So, I did do some of Resident Evil 1 on stream, though that was so long ago that there's like no footage left of it. There's no clips or anything for it. It's ancient history, but that was pretty much the beginning for me before I was even Commander Sergeant on Twitch. So that was a while ago.
All right. Have you had multiple accounts then? Have you had like a different account before you became Commander Sarge, or a different name?
Before I was Sergeant 93. For any kind of clarification, in case anybody wants to know why Sergeant, it is my last name. So.
Oh, okay.
That is why it's spelled the way that it is. I promise I'm not just an idiot.
Have you stayed with the same account and just changed names, or have you actually moved accounts across?
So I've been Commander Sergeant since I started my PlayStation Network account back in high school. Oh, so wow, okay. The username is not something that I picked out. The story that goes along with that, there was a kid that I was in English class with, and most of the time my English classes I didn't pay any attention. I could ace them pretty easily. I wouldn't have to pay any attention to the teacher. So me and this other kid, we got to be friends because he was, I wouldn't say really delinquent, but he didn't care. And he'd start passing me in the hallways, and my last name being Sergeant, he would always walk past me in the hallway and he'd go, Commander Sergeant, and give me the 07, and walk off, and I'd have to tell him at ease. But but after a while, that was the first time that my last name wasn't being used really in a way that was demeaning, because a lot of people would make the joke, oh, if you joined the military, you'd be sergeant, or you'd be private sergeant. This is the first time that somebody was actually being kind to me with my last name, and it made sense. It made sense. So I was just like, this makes a perfect handle for me. So it's been Commander Sergeant pretty much since I needed a username, and that was about the same time for high school. And I put that in. It was early enough in the PlayStation account thing that I got first dibs on it. And what's great is that it's stuck so well that even my younger brother's handle is based off of that as well. He goes by Drill Sergeant. Yeah.
So how do you normally deal with first time playthroughs on stream, like all the sort of anti backseating or anti sort of spoilers and all that kind of thing?
So I hate to feel like I'm wasting anyone else's time. I hate wasting my own time, to be completely honest. So a lot of times, if I'm playing something that's for the very first time on stream, I usually just request people to at least let me figure things out first, or try to make conclusions or draw conclusions. But my policy is that if you've watched me walk past the same lever I needed to pull like 6 times, just tell me it's there, please.
Fair enough.
That's what happens. So you end up playing something for the first time. You're like, I don't know where to go. I should like walk past the same thing like 4 times. Like, I don't get it. It's like sitting behind you.
Yeah.
Like, I don't. It's like it's just there. It's just there, dude. It's just. But maybe it's where this. You know, and like people get so upset about it.
Yeah. No, and you see, there is a purpose to backseating, but it has to be like I said, it can't just be like you trying to guide them through everything and make sure that they see this little Easter egg that might not mean anything to them, or they need to see this superfluous thing that's over here that we tucked away, or or you're gonna miss the collectible. You're gonna miss that collectible. It's like on stream, I'm not playing for collectibles. I definitely will on my own time. I'm a trophy hunter when it comes to PlayStation Network. I am addicted to trophy hunting.
My own heart.
When it comes to you can even ask Metal King. I'm freaking insane when it comes to collecting trophies. But when it comes to stream, I feel like to some degree I try to be entertaining for other people, and so I would hate to be watching me walk past the same thing to solve the puzzle 7 times, 8 times, and just not get it, and it's like the answer's just right in front of me.
But I think it's one of those things where it is your first time. Like, it's not, you're not going to get it first time. Like, it's like you've got to explore and feel your way around. So I think people can be very sort of, especially some people that have played the game themselves, or people who haven't seen the game themselves at all. It's their first time as well. People can be trying to figure it out themselves, sort of thing. And then you're like, they've got it. It's like, oh, I don't want you to tell me, but I'll try and figure it myself. But then I have the same sort of thing where it's like, I very much don't want any spoilers. If you spot, backseaters will be shot. No spoilers, thank you. But if if I'm gonna lock myself out of something, like if I'm gonna go through this door and I'm gonna miss out on like some other content, I don't want to miss out. Tell me about that. And then if I'm like you said, if I'm walking past the same lever 6 times, please do tell me, because I'm gonna get very upset by it. Like I can't do it.
It is one thing, entirely different when you know that the person who's watching you also has never played the game before, and maybe they just want to point something out that might fix your problem. I'm good for those sorts of things, definitely. But like I said, usually I want to figure it out for myself first before they start putting it in the chat. And if I'm coming up on blanks and they start wanting to make recommendations, even if they don't know that that's the answer, if they see something in the stream that I'm not picking up on that looks interesting, then yeah, hands down.
Yeah.
Now it's such a delicate area for a lot of people, because my experience is that I've come across streamers who are definitely like absolutely no backseating. I will sit here and beat my head against this wall until I figure it out before I accept any kind of advice. I'm not meaning to call anyone out. If that's the way that you stream, that is perfectly fine. Every streamer has their own way of doing things, hands down. But Mellar has been told the story of the one time that I walked in, I didn't even give a spoiler or backseat. I got banned.
Oh, wow.
I came in at just the wrong moment. The streamer had previously said that the next person to say something that could be considered as advice or backseating will be banned. And I happened to come in after she said that.
Did you manage to fix things with her, or is it just a case like you're still banned, or?
No, I made an unban repeal, or just an unban request to her, and was just like, hey, I legitimately wasn't trying to be like belligerent or spoil or ruin anything for you in any way, shape, or form. I was hoping to come in and watch Ocarina of Time. I was not trying to be malicious or overstep my bounds in any way, shape, or form. I got unbanned. I went back in the next stream and I, introduced myself formally and, just like, I'm so glad that we can be friends again. I never went back.
I was over the story, be like, oh yeah, I got unbanned, and I showed up, and I got banned again.
No, I definitely didn't go back in to get banned again.
Oh,
No, it was what I said wasn't even actually like any kind of advice or anything like that. It was Ocarina of Time. I came in and I could see that where she was at, she needed to go, like her next destination was Goron City after becoming an adult. I could tell just based off of a glance of her inventory where she was in the game. You know, I could see that there was a no backseating policy, and that she was, you know, she had said, "Okay, nobody say anything, nobody say anything." You know, she travels up Death Mountain. She decides to figure out what happens when you let the timer in the Death Mountain crater hit 0. You hit the game over scene.
Oh,
It's an instant death. You hit the game over, and you know it asks you if you want to save. It asks you if you want to continue, and then when you continue back into the game, it puts you back at the entrance of the crater with only 3 hearts. And she didn't know that the hearts relate to the amount of time you are allotted in either underwater areas or areas of, you know, high intensity heat. And she, you know, just starts freaking out. She's just all like, I had a whole minute and a half before, and now they're only giving me like 30 seconds, and I don't even know what's going on here. Why is it only giving me 30 seconds? Why is it only giving me 30 seconds repeatedly, you know? And I'm just like, because it's linked to your health.
that's not a spoiler. Yeah, that's just like that explains the question you're asking. You know.
Yeah.
It's a difficult balance. We would I was going to mention because we had Mr. Mod for Vert, and he got, you know, Danganronpa.
Yeah.
He got a spoiler on that. Like, it really spoiled it for him to the point where he actually stopped his playthrough. He's like, well, there's no point now. I know what happens. So
That's actually it's one of those games where it's like the story is very important in Danganronpa.
yeah, I've never played it
Like,
myself.
It's a mystery game, and you know you're trying to solve murders. And if someone tells you who the murderer is, you're like, well, there's no point in me doing this.
Yeah, literally. So but then us as mods, we were trying to like prevent that from happening again. But I think we might have become a little bit militant in the process, and we were a bit too strict maybe, and yeah, it got a little bit interesting. But you've got to ride that line. It's so hard. Like as a streamer and as mods as well, to know where the line is, and like, you know, not to get a little bit too like overprotective of your streamer if you're a mod and all that kind of thing, you know. Because at the end of the day, I mean, it's pretty heartbreaking, isn't it, to have like a whole game just completely ruined for you.
I had that a lot during Hollow Knight. I was playing Hollow Knight, not even like I finished playing Hollow Knight probably like 2 weeks ago, and everyone who come in to play who'd come in to watch Hollow Knight were like, "Have you been here yet? Where are you on the map? Let me look at your map. You've not beaten this boss yet." I'm like, I'm glad that I know that about that boss now. And it's like, oh, and like, have you got to do this? Oh, you forgot that. Oh, have you got to do this? I was like, listen, man.
There's a fucking boss.
Do you want to play?
There's a boss, isn't there, in Sekiro? I won't spoil it just in case, but there's a boss in Sekiro who is like, if you be like, oh, have you fought this person? That is immediately a spoiler, because you're like, oh, you fight them? And you just offer fuck, like, shut the fuck
No, exactly.
up, please.
It's the same thing with Dark Souls. The thing about Dark Souls bosses are very much the Dark Souls community. They don't give a fuck. They'll post where you find the boss's name, what the boss looks like, and they're like, "Oh, why don't I get a spoiler? Maybe it's because you're doing that." What do you expect? You know.
Yeah. I find that Undertale is quite similar as well.
I know
Fun.
you're on about that. I feel like I've been talking about this recently, where it's a case of like there's certain communities for games that are just like, there's a certain community for games where it's like they want, you know, to enjoy the game. They want to know everything about the game. And if you're the first time playing this, you know that this person has this and this person has that and this is all this and this is and that. Oh, and you make sure you fight this boss and this and do this and you can do this. And I was like, am I going to get to play this game? Or are you trying to like, dump the entire lore on me? Like, what's...
Oh, Lord, don't
happening?
even get me started on lore.
Yeah. That is such a hard thing for some to do, you know, is just to figure out, okay, if you're going to watch somebody do it for the first time, you need to be willing to let them experience it for the first time. You can't just tell them, you know, all of your best, you know, all the best moments or anything like that. Or, you know, yeah, I haven't personally run into this in my own streams, but as a moderator, I've seen it in others. the gal that streams horror games, she
Hmm.
in particular, when in her early days especially, she'd just have people that would show up out of nowhere and like backseat the hell out of her.
Yeah.
And I was just like, okay, buddy, you gotta back off, because
No, exactly.
let her experience the game before you say anything.
Yeah.
Do you think it's a case of like because you're streaming it? Do you think because you're obviously playing it for the first time on stream, people are like, oh well, they're streaming it, so they obviously want us to come in and help?
I think it
I
comes
think
from a good place. I
sometimes-
think, like generally, I think people want you to experience the game in the best way, and of course, the best way is how they experienced it. They want you to play
Getting
it the
told
way they do.
24/7. No way, Earth.
Mhm. Well, and the experience is all subjective to your own experience
the
and
problem.
your yeah.
I love
So,
when
you
someone
know.
comes in and they're like, "Oh yeah, I want you to experience the game that I experienced. I watched this walkthrough and I read all the guides, so now you must know everything." It's like, no, please don't.
Obviously, we're talking about first playthrough. Would you think you prefer streaming first playthroughs, or would you prefer streaming like your multiple playthrough of a game?
I kind of prefer revisits, things that I've personally played before doing first playthroughs.
Hmm.
The only reason I say that is because, for part of my anxiety of, being worried about being entertaining enough for other people, I can rule that out because if I'm playing a game, usually I remember most of it. I don't spend too long on any one thing, or it's like, even if I don't remember all the details behind it, I still remember enough of the physics behind it that I can go, okay, so I think if I'm remembering this game correctly, something should be here. Oh yeah, here it is.
Hmm.
And that works out pretty good for me.
Yeah.
You also eliminate the possibility of people coming in and just like, being all like, oh, did you try this? Blah, 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 blah. And you're just like, well, this isn't my first playthrough. So, yes, I have, but not yet on this run. Thanks for spoiling it for everybody else, though.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing though. Even if you're playing, obviously for a second and third time, but like, there's a lot of people come in for the first time, and it's like, oh, I'm really enjoying this. Someone comes in and chat and like, well, I've been spoiled now, but like I've already known, but like they've been spoiled.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, I personally try to put a lot of emphasis on the comfort of my viewers.
Mm.
I try not to do anything that would really be otherwise, upsetting or anything like that, which, we'll definitely play into the later topic. But I think a lot of streamers actually try to orient to making sure that their community feels like it's comfortable and safe for the people who come to it.
Yeah.
That it's that it doesn't necessarily feel like it's got to be an exclusive group, because I tell you what, the handful of people that I've rated that are just like, oh, hi Commander Sergeant, welcome, and then like I start talking to them and they're just like cold shoulder, like they not even paying any attention or acknowledging that anyone in their chat is really there. I'm just kind of like, bye.
Yeah.
I think if your interaction and like talk the chat is one of the most important things of streaming. I think making sure that
yes.
everyone feels safe, valued, like they've got a place to just hang out. Even if I mean, obviously talking from my point of view at least, I try to promote good mental health and try and make sure people are taking care of themselves. And I always end stream and be like, please take care of mental health. Please drink, remember to drink water. Remember to eat. Remember to like sleep. All that sort of stuff. Just things that just people that they might just be having a rough time. They don't realize they're letting themselves get to a point. It's like just a little just make sure to look after yourself.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, there's some streamers out there though that are very much like, oh yeah, thanks for the sub. Back to their game, and they don't look at chat.
It's all that Jeremy Clarkson meme, isn't it? It's like, oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And yeah, exactly. Oh
yeah.
So
thanks for interrupting me. Anyway.
Almost like
your
how dare you interrupt the gameplay with your notification. Back to what we were doing.
Did you know, as a streamer, you can actually block incoming raids?
You can.
So if you don't want them, just block them.
You can accept. I think they've changed it so you can block raids. You can accept raids from everyone, and you can accept raids from only your team.
It used to be friends, but obviously the friend system's been deleted.
Yeah, they deleted friends, which I don't understand why. Because it's a really good way for like obviously if you're not anywhere outside of Twitch, which I mean most people are, but like you've got like people like viewers and even like streamers, they can all talk in like little DMs,
Yeah.
Right. Now, I think really when it comes to keeping your community safe with raids, there are a lot of options, and I remember maybe it was a little more than a few months ago, but that we started noticing like a really big, massive amount of hate raids going on around on Twitch. Like, it was just kind of astronomical. I definitely did my research and trying to figure out, okay, well, what do I do if this happens to my community? Because one particular streamer who I greatly admire, he's not streaming much anymore, but he had a few instances where things like this had happened to him. And I was never there for it, unfortunately. But, he even came to my stream while I was playing Doom 2016, actually. And, he was kind of just really sad and defeated. Like, it was kind of like almost a, I don't know that I really want to put myself out for the possibility of this happening again. He felt really bad for coming into my stream and then, blasting, just pasting all of his problems all over my chat. And I was just like, no, dude, safe space right here. Like, absolutely. I admire you as a streamer. Like, I aspire to be like you. Like, please tell me what's going on so that I can, make sure that this doesn't happen to you and this doesn't happen to me, hands down.
Yeah.
And so, just making sure that, I always keep up the dash just on the ready, just in case I get that person in there who wants to like spam it. I keep the stream labels open so I can immediately stop all incoming notifications for follows or subs or anything like that if I need to stop them, so that they don't just keep coming through in an annoying way. They've even added in a function that allows you to just, if you hit that button, it automatically puts your chat into emote only mode, so that nothing can come through in the way of messages anymore, since it's mostly bots that do these. They have it through in an automated system.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you can even set it up with a quick timer to tell it how long you want that to go for as well. So
absolutely. I mean,
I've had that. Oh, sorry.
what I was going to say is, because I know I've had a sort of a few pieces of advice surrounding it. A really good thing, if you've got a Stream Deck, is to make yourself like a panic button, with like a multi-action, that just sets everything. You can block chat, clear chat, turn off alerts and all this kind of thing, and then you can have it so that it waits a certain length of time and then turns everything back on for you, that kind of thing. Just to have like one button, you just like, oh, in it comes, press the button, and then just continue what you're doing, just ignore it. It's a good idea. And then what Sarge has got there is basically the next best thing if you don't have a Stream Deck, is basically to have your the dashboard up, so you've got those buttons separately available.
It sits right behind my OBS window, just because I don't know, and
it's always safe, isn't it?
Yeah,
I always just keep it there. The same reason why you keep any kind of anti theft measures around the house.
I definitely, I've experienced it myself. Like, I've had people come in. I've had follow bots. I've had like the hate raids, all that sort of stuff. And like, at this point that it's happened to me so much, I'm kind of like, I think I generally think it depends on the tags you use on your stream.
Yes, it does.
Because I use the LGBT.
I think they target that.
They target that one a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, dude,
so I use that tag. Mostly because I'm part of the community, but also because I also want people that also want to feel they also are part of that community to feel safe and have a place that this person supports us. Come in, and it's all good. But it's one of those things where when as soon as it happens, it's like at this point I've had so many. Like the first time I panicked. The first time I was like, oh, I got to end stream, all that sort of stuff. It happens like maybe like not maybe at least once a month, maybe twice a month, and it's a case of like. It's quite a lot, and for like for being a smaller streamer, it's a case of like it does happen quite a lot, and it's a case of like I'm sitting here like I'm just playing a game and suddenly it's like, oh, thanks for the follow, and then follow, like great, cool, just turn off that, turn this off, right? And where were we? Just going on with it, and that's it. It's like it's got to that point where this doesn't bother me, and like you can use Commander Root to remove those bot followers and stuff. And that's what happens.
It's a good tool.
But it's just one of those things where it's like they're. And this is like not sort of. I suppose it's going on towards the same thing. It's like you're taking away options like friends. You're changing the way Twitch and all that sort of stuff works, but you're not fixing these issues. Like it's a little bit. Priorities are a little bit skewed there,
Yeah.
They're adding new, more money for ads. Great. Can you like make it so people don't come on my stream and like harass me? Maybe
that would be great. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just so unfortunate. Really, these people, they're either out to just ruin your day or get a rise out of people. And so really the best thing you can do is be prepared, and try not to react when it happens, because if you don't give them the satisfaction of reacting to them,
they just might never come back. That's it. They might just not try again, which is even good.
Yeah.
I don't know how you've been with trolls coming to the chat. I had a troll, like they have like these wacky names they want you to like read out or whatever. And like I for instance, I had one that was like something about an erection or whatever, and I was like, dude, it's a giant erect penis, like wow. And the guy was like, wait, what? And I was like, dude, what? Welcome in, how you doing? Like, I'm hard too, how you doing? And he's like just like playing off of it, and they never expect it. And I had a friend, my mod, she streams, but she flirts with them. She flirts with trolls, and it just deters them. It's great. It's fantastic.
I'll have to keep that one in mind.
Yeah. Well, I'd recommend it. Play
Mellar, you're not going to get jealous, right?
Maybe I will. Actually, yeah, you got to be careful.
I can't flirt with anyone else but Hippo. I'm sorry. There's a hippo-sized hole in my heart. He's not here today.
God, I love Hippo. Miss him.
It's too late. He's in his bed.
He's probably he's definitely asleep.
Yeah.
Flipping on its head slightly. Deck, what do you think? Do you think it's easier to stream a game that you've already played before, or one that you prefer streams? It's games that you've played before, games that you've never played before.
I think a good example is I'm playing Last of Us at the moment, and I've played Last of Us 1 before. Not played it on stream, but I played it like back when it first came out, and that was like 2014, something like that. So it's a game I've played before. I'm very like, I know what's going on sometimes, and I forget like all this. Like I've got like bits and pieces in my head like muddled up. Like for instance, there's a part where like gets impaled, and I'm like, I thought that was going to happen now, and then you play later, I was like, oh, that's when it happened. Right. There's still a little bit of like spoiler, by the way, for anyone who hasn't played The Last of Us. My bad. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, thanks.
Sorry, don't worry. I'll come to your chat. I'll backseat you all the way through the game until you get to that part.
Perfect. I would love that.
I very much love playing games for the first time. That's sort of like my whole sort of thing. Like I have too many games. I have not played them. That's it. But I think playing a game that you are comfortable with, I think you're playing a game. You've already experienced it once. You know what's going on, so you can sort of you can still play through it and still not remember things as much as you like to. Don't get me wrong, but it's one of those things where like obviously people in chat haven't seen it before, so it's like okay, I can people are still enjoying themselves that way. But you can. I think it's definitely easier to stream games the first time, in my opinion.
You think?
I think so, yeah, because it's like I like figuring things out, and like I like the interaction with chat in that as well. Like I said, going off what Sarge said, there's a balance between like figuring things out with chat and then go here, do this next thing, like backseating. And I prefer it when it's like, for instance, Danganronpa. Going back to Danganronpa, played Danganronpa. I think it was the very first game I ever streamed on Twitch.
Oh wow!
Which is funny you mentioned. I was like, oh, look at that.
Yeah.
And it's a game that I went into it not really knowing anything, and like people would come in. The community's really lovely around that game.
Oh, amazing.
And it's one of those things where I'm sitting sort of like, I'm not sure this killer could be this, and it's like just talking about the game. And I have a command in my stream where it's like, I think it's we call it the pineapple protocol because that's what we call spoilers, pineapples.
Right.
Just a little if I say this word, then it's okay.
Right.
Like spoil something.
Right.
A safety word, for instance.
Right.
And so like, I have a little command that pops up. Like I often sort of like voice my thoughts and stuff. It's not a question.
Rhetorical question.
It's sort of like, so this person could be the killer, or it could be this person, or I could be doing this wrong. And then people then find that option and be like, you're right. And it's like, no, I didn't want to know. I'm just voicing out loud.
Yeah.
But no, I definitely find it. I think because then I kind of know what I'm doing. I think the thing of playing games the first time compared to like replaying them on stream is that you already know what's going to happen. So you're sort of eradicating that little bit where it's like I'm not needing chat's help as much, sort of thing. That's what I don't like about replaying games a bit more. But there's a lot of games I still need to replay. Like I want to go back and do Resident Evil 7 at some point. I'll probably hold off until I do some more stuff, but there's a lot of games that I still got through the first time, and I think they'll be really good.
I think it's quite interesting because I hadn't really thought of it too much before, but I think anything that if you've played the game before, then it's a lot easier to kind of add things to the stream. So, like for example, I mean, At the moment, I'm doing Breath of the Wild, but because I've played it before, I'm able to add like viewer interaction to it, like you know, the whole like, oh, now I teleport, now you can't make me, you make it so that I can't teleport, and you can make me take my clothes off and all this kind of
No,
thing in
exactly.
game,
Yeah.
obviously.
Mhm.
What
And
do you mean?
and
How many points to do it in real life?
I wouldn't I wouldn't have been able to do that if I hadn't played the game before. So I think it's a lot easier to sort of add value to a game if you've played it
Hmm.
before. But I also think that some people join streams because it's a first playthrough. So
That's very true.
it is a little bit of like, for me, it's sort of six of one, half a dozen of the other. I'm certainly, but I think we'd all be more comfortable playing games that we've played before. But half the fun, I think there is a certain amount of like, the first experience of a game quite often is more fun because you're sharing that experience with others.
No, exactly.
Good
Yeah.
example of that for me was Skyrim. First time I experienced that was on stream, and it was how awesome that experience was like 10 times because I experienced it with you know, with all the amazing community that sort of came about there. But it's I think it's actually quite an interesting question. It's something that I think should probably be thought of a little bit more. But it's nice to be able to add those extra little things. You can't do that on a game that you've never played
You
before.
can. It's true because like, how are you supposed to know? I can do this. I can do that. You know, I can add this as a pointer word. But it's like maybe you're able to know. Like, I played a little bit more. Like, oh, I can do this. I could then add that halfway
Mhm.
through. Thing. But you're not getting it from the very start.
Mm, yeah.
Yep. That's well, I mean, and it's interesting because I wanted to say, you know, challenge wise, I don't think I would have been brave enough to take on Twilight Princess HD on hero mode, no recovery hearts, map flipped, and offer my viewers the opportunity to enable the Ganondorf amiibo for an additional ×2 damage, ×4 damage, ×4 damage.
You could never do that on a game that you'd never played before.
No.
That's mental. It's mental.
Yeah.
Yes, it's absolutely.
But
I
that's the
think
fun. That's the whole.
I think going off what Mellar said about experiencing Skyrim for the very first time, I had one like that, which was original Final Fantasy 7.
Nice.
We sat down, we played that, and I was like, I think having everyone coming in. The thing is, like, one of those Final Fantasy 7, the original one, is such a vast game and such a
Iconic.
big game,
Yeah.
and yeah, iconic. And like you said, there's a lot of people that come in for the first playthrough, and that one was
Oh, yeah.
loads of people came in. It was like, why is so many people here? You know, started chatting, and it's one of those things where I think I enjoyed that game 10 times more.
Yeah.
Going off of like even what Sarge said about, like, you know, Psychonauts, there was no one there to sort of enjoy it with.
Mm.
I think the fact there was more people there to hang it with and the game was there, it made my experience of that game 10 times more enjoyable.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, I want to talk. I feel like I'm excluding Tsukunami a little bit with this next question, so I'm really
it's
sorry.
alright.
But we want to talk a little bit about parenting and stream because I know you've got a little one.
I'm a
on
daddy,
the side.
alright?
You're a daddy,
No,
not a dad.
I can't beat the hippo. I can't beat the hippo.
So, talk to us a little bit about this. So, how old's your little one?
He just turned 2.
You just turned 2, and you call him DLC, don't you? Downloadable content.
Yes.
Amazing. What a
Yep.
fantastic name.
That's a fantastic thing.
So
yeah.
how do you like balance the whole like streamer life versus dad life?
It can be a challenge, as I'm sure you are well aware.
Mhm.
Parenting is a wonderful opportunity, but it can also take away a lot of things as well.
Mm.
I would say that learning the balance between when, you know, when it's appropriate to have to step away from gaming as altogether and say, you know what, I'm the parent first, and my kid is going to need me. So unfortunately, you know, it's just going to be a no for tonight.
Yeah.
I know that a lot of streamers take pride in the fact that they are available most of the time. You know, they're just there for their community at any given moment.
Yeah.
Whether they're streaming or if they're on Discord or other social media platforms, they're there. And you know, it's like, as a parent, I personally feel like I will never be able to give that same kind of attention to my community
Of
because
course. Yeah.
I don't have that kind of time.
Mm.
I feel fortunate enough to just get 2 streams in a week. Yeah, sure, maybe if I were a single man, you know, which that's almost 10 years gone, then maybe I would be on Twitch 24/7 trying to make it big. Who knows, you know. But, you know, as a husband, you know, that already takes in some consideration as well, that, you know, I need to be available for my wife and for my kid. So, you know, If I can give you 3 to 4 hours, and you know, one of those is one of my weeknight or my weekends, my weekend evenings at a ridiculous time after my kid's already gone to bed. Like I'm ready to sacrifice sleep for you guys. I'm not ready to sacrifice parenthood for you guys.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I think that the sort of old adage that has been gone over a million times is as much fun as streaming is, you know, real life always comes first. And when it comes to
Exactly.
real life, like your kid's pretty much the biggest thing in your life, isn't it? So
Yeah.
I mean, the only way that I get it to work is I'd pretty much exclusively only stream after he's gone to bed.
Yeah.
So I'd stream when he's asleep. The only way
Now,
that it works.
on my Tuesday streams, we have an arrangement. So Tuesday nights, Kyo is solely in charge of keeping DLC. Occasionally he'll just sneak down here, but you know, he's such a well-behaved kid that he's usually content to sit on my lap for at least 15 minutes before he'll start getting wiggly and wants to press all the buttons and turn all the knobs on my guitar amplifier and ooh, what does this do? So you know, there's a certain amount of it that, you know, I just kind of like, you know, with that's the agreement, is that Tuesday from 4:30 to 7:30 I am not available.
Yeah.
And that is the exclusive amount of time that I am unavailable for my family. But that's only to say I'm unavailable as long as there's not extenuating circumstances that require me to be available.
Yeah,
Because
of course.
obviously, the moment my kid falls down the stairs or, you know, something happens with the extended family, okay, guys, I know we've only been into this for like 20 minutes, but I love you all. Bye. I'll catch you all when
That's
I'm
the most
available.
important thing as well. Family comes first.
Yeah, it does create a little bit of a sort of balance issue sometimes. Like it does help when you stream regularly. And when I say regularly, I don't mean like often. I mean just on a regular schedule.
Yes.
And if you can't keep to that schedule, it doesn't help. But like we were just saying, real life has to come first. At the end of the day, it is only a
Exactly.
hobby, you know. So if you had like one piece of advice, like you could give like someone who's been streaming for a while, maybe who's just become a parent.
Experiment a little bit with what your timetable actually is. If you've got a partner, make sure that you are in constant communication with them about what your, I guess for lack of a better word, what your expectation with your streaming actually is. Because if that's what your expectation is, and they have an entirely different expectation for what they think is acceptable, that's something you're going to need to communicate on.
Yeah.
Because if it's set in stone and you both feel comfortable saying, I stream this time to this time on these days, and they're good with it, you don't really have anything else to worry about.
Yeah.
You know, don't be willing to overextend yourself to your community before discussing that with your significant other.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. All right, thank you very much. Have you got any other questions, Deck, or are you good to move on?
I thought it was pretty like well covered. To be fair, I think we've got a lot of. I have one question, but it doesn't relate to anything we've talked about.
Here, go on.
I want to know what's is that the gunblade from behind you from Final Fantasy, one of Final Fantasies, or is
I wish.
There's a Guardian shield I see.
There's a Master Sword back there.
Okay.
So that's the smaller one.
That's a small one.
The one behind it is actually the Fierce Deity sword.
Okay.
From Majora's Mask.
Yep.
I was looking at the back one. I was
they are actually bigger than they look.
That's not Buster Sword. It can't be a Buster Sword. Let me think. What else could it be? I couldn't figure it out.
It's not hard.
I couldn't figure it out.
Consider yourself satisfied.